Gold is not worth what people think it is. And the cabal, the people, the fake news, you've never ever seen a story on silver that's come across the AP or Reuters, because the Rothschilds own that. There's a reason for it. Now, if by law the U.S. Mint has to have silver coins available to the public, U.S. Eagles to the public at all times, and they have not. And the reason they have not is because they're under the control of the nasty people. Until the Great Awakening is over, then they're not in control anymore. And silver's been manipulated for 170 years. Probably 171 now. Can you turn your mic off, please? So I don't hear any background noise, and I'll just keep going.
Okay.
And you'll definitely like what I have to say. So, the United States Geological Survey says, at the rate we're using everything on the planet, everything on that periodic table, all supplies of natural resources, silver will be the first thing to go extinct at the rate we're using it now. Now, there's a reason why they kept 7,000 patents from us, because one, they don't want us to know real science. They don't want us to know, they don't want to help us. And if those came out, and the majority of those are silver dependent, it would run the silver price sky high. And their job is to keep silver as low as a sow's belly till hell freezes over. Those are their words, not mine. Let's move on. So the rate at which they've found resources in the ground peaked in 1995, and they've gone down, 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 down. And it takes 20 years to develop a mine under the conditions we've been under. Now, they're going to change, and that could speed up, but it still takes a long time. Every last ETF that is based, that's, a silver ETF, every last one of them except for from Sprott, that's out of Vancouver, BC, they are unfunded. They are the billionaires that work for the trillionaires, and they're running a scam. So SLV, they do not have what they need, and there's a short squeeze coming of epic proportions on silver. None of the corporations, this is coming from which is the lowest, one of the lowest cost, probably the lowest cost silver producers in the world. Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of AG, real hard to remember, the periodic table of silver. AG is the stock symbol on New York Stock Exchange. First Majestic Mining, which I've talked to him multiple times in San Francisco and Vancouver, BC. He said that he's never been able to find out the stockpile that corporations have of silver for their products. Now, silver is the number 2 most uses item on the planet, with over 10,000 uses, and that's without the 7,000 patents. And guess what's number 1? Petroleum, the one thing they control, and they literally shove it down our throat, because there's petroleum products and synthetic products that are actually what they call drugs. They're synthetic petroleum products, and that they do not cure disease. They manage it, help you get sicker here and there. So you need another petroleum product to help fix that, and then that makes you sicker and whatever. So just the COMEX. Let's just forget about all those guys that need it as soon as there's a short squeeze of epic proportions, which is coming shortly. Just the COMEX needs a 6-month supply. Every ounce that comes out of the ground, not Russia or China, because they don't put theirs on the market. Every other country, it's all for sale everywhere, except for Russia and China. They know what it is. Theirs isn't for sale, but everybody else's is. They need 180 days of worldwide supply just themselves. Take every bit of that for 6 months just to break even. Well, as the price goes up, that's an impossibility. They would need more, and then more, and then more, and then more. And so there's a short squeeze of a shitstorm of epic proportions coming in silver, not gold. So I think you can hear what I'm trying to tell you.
You've got both my dads sitting right next to you, don't you?
Opinion. I've talked to these people that are in this industry firsthand. This is what they said. They're the ones who have looked at the data. The experts have looked at the data. This is what they're saying. This is not my opinion. This is their factual numbers, factual statements that they've made. Nothing I said is my opinion.
Understandable.
I can tell you this much. Nobody hits the bottom. Right now there's only a bottom that will go down to here shortly of, it'll only go so low at the moment. And at that bottom, it will become unobtainium. And as it goes up, you'll think, well, I'll just catch it next time it gets down lower and I'll get it. Well, it's going to be in a little bit of a mini short squeeze itself and before it reaches the next level. And silver is going to become unobtainium, a metal you cannot get a hold of because they all have to get it. So it's going to change from silver to unobtainium. And it is a strategic metal. And more people know that today than the people I talked to 20 years ago about it, because I've been telling people for a long time this information and nobody would listen. But now there's a whole lot more people that know exactly what I'm talking about. But not every last one of them heard it from me, that's for sure. But they did get educated on it by somebody. The word is getting out on what's going on. And it's not, nobody's saying this about gold. Nobody's saying it about gold. They're all saying it about silver, though. That's the leading experts that are in the mining business. All now, if you have a gold mining, they have a gold mine. There still needs to be X amount of gold taken out, and they're pushing their mine, blah blah. But that's to be expected. But if they're neutral, and they're in the mining business, they know that silver is extremely undervalued for what it really is and the uses, and they're all talking silver, they're not talking gold.
Thank you.
Here's an interesting question, Michael. In the Great Awakening, will there even be a stock market in the way that we know it today?
Not even close, number one, because the stock market is now owned by Donald Trump and basically the U.S. Taxpayers and the Treasury, because they are part of all the companies that interfered in the election and broke Executive Order 13848 that was signed on 9/12/2018 that had a 3-year window and expired while Biden was president. No, it didn't. No. Oh, Biden extended it for a year. What do you know? So that's because Biden's dead and Trump's running the show. So that law right there says that if you worked with a foreign country or a foreign entity to steal this election, I'm taking all your shit. Just to keep it short, I want to go through all the Nuremberg crap, what the law is really called and all that. People have heard me say it before, and they all interfered. So no, it will not look like it was. It is a manipulated game of. It's not even a casino. It was worse than a casino. It was just extremely manipulated to transfer the wealth from the have-nots to the haves. What did we learn in COVID? Oh my God, the people have lost this much money. And now $3.9 trillion has transferred into the wealth of the rich people. Go figure. Never heard of that before. There was never going to be a stop to these guys' wealth acquisition, and there was never going to be a stop to you losing your wealth, the 1%. The 1% was going to be losing their wealth. And when the Great Awakening or the Global Reset, which they called the Great Reset, it was coming. There was always going to be one. The numbers I showed Adam today, the graphs I wrote for him today, and which was real generic, real basic compared to what I went into with everybody here at the Ark before, clearly shows the game was over. Clearly shows the game was over. And the white hats have come along and saved us from this certain death because these guys have had control of the system for 1,700 years. And so the stock market won't even be remotely close to what it was before. And there's going to be smart contracts that are hooked up to cryptos, and there'll be value in those. And who knows exactly what it's going to look like, but it's not going to be Wall Street 2016, 2015, 2014, 2013. I can tell you that.
Michael, so when you say lean assets to silver, you said it earlier. I literally, as I was talking to you, I literally text my financial advisor and I said, I would like to lean assets to silver. And he said, lean assets to silver, question mark. And I said, oh my God, I didn't expect you to get this at this fast. I mean, it's 10:47 my time. I'm over on the Pacific West, Northwest. But when I talk to him tomorrow, what am I supposed to say?
Well, you're going to say the same thing. He's going to want you not to do it because he works for the house. He works for the casino. He's a dealer that knows exactly how he's supposed to deal your money around and who to. And they say, okay, well, if we're going to put you in silver, we're going to put you in the SLV. Not. That's a failure. No.
Okay, so my sister is so this is a carrot, an egg, or whatever you want to call it. So my sister, she is a
Guarantee you, your guy is going to say, number one, why would you want to do that? It's a pet rock. It just sits there, doesn't do nothing. It loses inflation, blah, 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 blah. That's number one. He's correct because it's been rigged. Number two, he's going to say, okay, well, if you have to, we're going to put you in the SLV because he's going to still be in charge of making money. You buy and sell. And number three, you're going to tell him, I don't think you have my best interest at heart, and I think I'm going to take my money and go. And you're going to go find somebody somewhere that, like, I would call up Eric Sprott. They have, because they're in the resource business, resource stocks, they get stupid low, and then they go stupid high. I'll give you an example. AG stock after December 15th, 2015, when silver hit the bottom, their stock was below $2, like 280 or 260, whatever. And it went to like $19. Now, in 7 months' time, if you can make, 1,100% on your money, you could do that once every 5 years and beat the shit out of a 401k or some bullshit he wants to put you in. Correct?
I think so.
Yeah. So in the resource business, that's what these things do. And Eric Sprott's an expert at putting people in things that might not necessarily do that much, but then there's ones that do more. That's just one example. I just happen to know those numbers because I was watching it. And then later, when it came back down below $5 at 480, I told my friend, and people heard it right here in the Ark. I had him on the phone. I said, remember when I told you to go all in and buy AG? Yeah. And you remember when it got up around $19 and I told you, well, it's going to go down. So it went up 400%, 500% in, like 11-month period of time. And you said no, yeah. And then now it's back down around $10. So you just lost half his, value at the time. And I told him, you should sell that $50,000 with a Bank of America and stick it in there and go all in on it. And he didn't. Well, he would have made a crap load of money. He's worth $4 million or $5 million. It doesn't really matter to him that much. It's just a little side bet, but little side thing. But the thing is that he now knows I know what I'm talking about. And I was able to use our conversation with him to have the people in the ARC understand that I also know what I'm talking about. And I told him timing is everything. I told him when to buy, when to back up the truck, and then when to sell. And he was on the other phone. He was on speaker. Everybody in the room could hear it. And this is what resource stocks do. And so what you do is you don't have FOMO, fear of missing out. Oh, I got to get this. I got to buy some today. No, that when you understand that every stock has an average price, and it has high marks and it has low marks. So you draw a line across the bottom of the low marks and across the high marks. You do that on a yearly chart. Then you do it on a monthly chart. Then you do it on a weekly chart, then a daily chart. And it gives you a picture. Wow, it seems to be close to the bottom, but not quite at the bottom. As it gets close down to the bottom, I'm going to buy some. I'm not going to go all in on it, but I'm going to buy some. But if you wake up one day and it's way below that average, that line of support, and which it did do when I told him to back up the truck, and you couldn't buy any silver. I called up the silver mine, said, hey, I want to buy another $10,000 of the silver, basically, which means $9,999. Otherwise, you got to give the IRS a form. And they said, well, let me call the mint and see what I can do. Well, they never called back because they didn't have any. It became unobtainium at that time, and you couldn't get any at that price, even though that's the price they were listing. But that was for the casino dealers, called the stock market, and but stock in a silver company you could buy. And that's why I told my buddy to back up the truck on AG at the time when it was below $5. And then when it got up to 19, I said, it's oversold. You might want to get out. And he said, no, I'll just hang on to it. And of course, it came back down, to like 11 when I talked to him. And of course, it went lower than that since. But all these guys heard the conversation I had with him. And so these things do this over and over again. And it's going to be down low here. And next time there's a little mini short squeeze, not the one of epic proportions, that's also still coming. It's going to shoot up to about $35 an ounce. And that's going to be quite a little bit of a ride for people. But again, you're not selling it. There's an investment for a period of time. It's not a get rich quick thing. But the next squeeze it's going to have after that is going to make any investment into anything else look like you just made a huge mistake. So
Wow.
good silver companies, and buying silver when you can actually get it. But right now, in the past, I was leaning heavy on physical because there was some laws that were in place that were going to screw everybody. But now that Trump's in charge, they're never going to be able to exercise those bail-in documents that they had signed. And they're not, the swamp isn't in control. And so now physical is good to get, but buying stock in silver companies is now not bad because they were going to be able to take your money. And when you sold it, when it was going to go into a money market account, and since they've made bailouts illegal and they signed the bail-in documents in the 2009 Dodd-Frank Act, they were going to bail in your money. The banks were going to fail and your money's in third position. And as you sell your stock and put it in your money market account, it's now in a bank. And it was underwater because the derivatives, the $1,500 quadrillion worth of derivatives that Warren Buffett said were weapons of mass destruction, were in first position. You're an unsecured creditor. It's not your money. It's in their bank. And as soon as you sell your stock, even though you were in a silver company, you made a bunch of money. Doesn't matter. It was going to your money market account first, and they take it because everything was going to fail. But that's not going to happen now. It's impossible to happen now because Trump owns the system. They don't own shit. They've been liquidated, as in Gitmo Garden Fertilizer, and there might be a few of them around here and there that are still going to be testified against, and that's where they're also headed.
So how do people keep their money? That's my big question. I mean, my mom has a good nest egg. So how do people keep their money and keep from losing it at this point?
At this point, I would say a very good financial advisor, because I'm not, would be to call up Eric Sprott, S-P-R-O-T-T, Sprott, I don't know if it's investments or whatever, but you put up Eric Sprott, Google him or whatever, and Sprott Mining. They have a division where they take care of, people's money. And they're in the resource sector that has stupid lows and stupid highs. And they can talk to you about all the different options to do, because you're not going to, you're supposed to put some money in things that are, have growth, pay dividends. And some of these mining companies, they're going to be paying dividends pretty soon. They've never done it in the past. Some started, but other ones are going to kick in, and they're going to want people to keep their money in those silver companies, so that even though they're going to go stupid high and you're going to want to sell, they're going to want people to stay in, and that's why they're going to pay a dividend. So they know more about it than I do, and they're going to talk very conservatively. They won't talk about, silver going to the moon. They're going to talk very conservatively, but that's, what they have to do. They have to talk that way. But if I had a sizable amount that I didn't know how to deal with it, and I wanted a professional, in my opinion, would be to call Sprott, Eric Sprott, out of Vancouver, BC, and they have a New York operation too. But that's some of it's just storing physical silver. But I know somebody that's a financial advisor that just sent you their business card. Well, let me see if it's. They just texted me. Let me see. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You're talking to me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say other than I'm just pretty much flabbergasted at the whole thing.